Managers are continually having to wear a million different hats.
If the individual really wants it, it is all learnable.
Welcome back to the Velocity podcast series. I'm Annie, growth partner, and today I'm talking to Kelly, founder of Start Inspiring. And today our focus is on managers. So we talk in a lot of our podcasts about elevating leadership, igniting our full potential, resilience. But one area we've not yet touched on, which I think is going to be extremely valuable for our Start Inspiring community today and new listeners, is actually around how we nurture and work with our managers in our organisations.
Yeah, and they're such a critical part of the organisation's success. They're almost the glue. And I think we were talking earlier about McKinsey have done a piece of work that says this group of individuals, they're really valuable, but they're actually not efficient and doing the role that they can do to be most valuable. Like, what do we see? So if you are a middle manager, you're not involved in the strategic direction of the organisation. That's cascaded to you. Often that's not cascaded with all of the information that you really need to be able to then execute and lead a plan, create clarity and energy for the team below you so that they can follow fast. And so they're kind of in that middle of, I need more information from you because I'm going to get loads of questions from them. And the exec going, well, we've told you once, albeit that we've probably been in a room together debating and challenging each other on this strategic plan for a number of times at least. We've understood it really well. We cascade it and just think one time is enough for you to then be able to make the stuff happen. And so there's often a disconnect. And then actually there's such high expectations from your team if you're a middle manager today. And how do you navigate that middle space well?
Managers are continually having to wear a million different hats. They're looking through different lenses. They're looking across the organisation, they're looking above the organisation, they're looking below the organisation, and they're looking at themselves to be the best versions of themselves and equipped to drive so many other people's perspectives on situations. I really see that managers at times have a really tough time of it. They're trying to keep everybody happy. There's things they can't share. There's things that they know. There's things that they carry. And often they know more at their level than the leaders do at the top making the bigger decisions.
That's true, but it's often the technical things of how things get done around here. So we work with a number of organisations where perhaps those middle managers are either accidental managers. So we're working with an organisation at the moment, they're accidental managers. And then we also work with a number of organisations where they were brilliant technicians or technical individuals who have now happened to take on a management or leadership role. And what got them here won't get them there. And if we don't do something to help managers manage their people, manage getting the best out of individuals, what you really end up with is people with a title that don't do a great job of a lot of that and actually continue to try and do as much of the work as they possibly can themselves. They're often in a slightly burnt out state. Why they not holding the individuals in their care accountable and making the work happen through them?
Behaviour breeds behaviour. 86% of the people that are reporting into a manager are motivated and influenced by them. Yeah. That is a huge populative group of people that can be impacted by a tier of people focusing purely on administrative tasks and not growing, not nurturing, and not having the insight and clarity to know what direction they're going in.
Yeah, I mean, we work with a lot of organisations. We've got quite simple drawing I do with them when I'm in the room with them that says, okay, so you've only got 100% capacity, maybe a bit more, but 100% capacity. If you look and you've got 3 people below you and each of those is only really delivering at 80%, who's picking up the 20 individually or the 60% slack? Well, that's often the middle manager, because if they haven't been trained to be able to get what they need out of their team to create high levels of performance and engagement, the manager just picks up the slack. And so actually we work with so many organisations where everybody is working a significant percentage of their time at a level lower than that they're being paid for. That is not smart. And so elevating those managers to be able to actually direct and lead their team so that their team delivers the work. And I appreciate there's a number of player managers in the teams that we look after, but how we help them to get that balance right as well. It's really critical for success.
Collectively as a group, if they're working together, the momentum they can build in a business is phenomenal.
Absolutely. And that's the other benefit of running a program. It's kind of the unsaid benefit, which is not only do they learn to be brilliant, awesome leaders for their team and the function at which they represent on behalf of the business, but they learn to be more of a leadership team. And that doesn't mean necessarily they are working on all of the same things, but it's about them really understanding the end-to-end process within their organization and how one part of the business impacts another part. And when they become more trusting of each other, more understanding of the part each other plays, bringing them together, building trust, helping them have healthy debate and conflict, making sure they're really aware of what each is accountable for, the whole organisation moves faster. It is more respectful of each other, and it understands that you're all on the same side. You're not in silos. You're all after that one very important goal on behalf of the organisation.
Powerful stuff.
Really powerful.
In our newsletter, we're talking quite a lot around how we support managers. At Start Inspiring, one of the things that really resonates with me outside of the courses that you're talking about is actually the insight and visibility that the business has had actually just being present and working with alongside managers across multiple sectors and organisations. It's so powerful when you're talking about igniting your leadership at the top and nurturing your grassroots level, your emerging leaders perhaps. But what we have at Start Inspiring, I've noticed, is not just clarity on how to work with managers, but clarity on how to get the best from your managers.
Yeah, and I think that's also because we're not that far away from being in their shoes either. We are really close to the organisations that we work with. We do not sheep dip any of their managers through a predefined program. We understand right at the beginning what it is they need, but also what the individuals that are coming to that training are going to really value, and how do the individuals that are coming to that training, that program, that experience want to learn, and how do they want to be able to implement the things that they learn. And we build that program to suit them. There are different cultures, different contexts. You know, some organizations want quite a lot of fun and stimulation in their program. Death by PowerPoint we would never do anyway. But some really want to practice and are comfortable with some role play. Others need a different approach. And so we bake all of our programs in not only their own personal context at an individual and organizational level, but also applying the very best neuroscience, positive psychology, sports psychology into the design of our program so that they make meaningful change.
One of the things we've already talked about previously in a podcast is the power of diagnosis.
Yes.
The power of metrics.
Yes.
The power of being able to say, I can already tell you what's going to happen and how it's going to play itself out within your business areas, whether it's middle management or leadership. But for the purposes of management, when we're dealing with such an influential group in a business, our diagnostics can enable a business to not just bring out the best in the managers, but actually nurture the different experiences and personalities of the different management groups to be able to be the most successful area they've ever been.
And if a budget allows, I would always recommend starting with individual diagnostic, because as you say, that is a performance predictor. We can tell you how this is going to play out. We can help the individual really understand themselves, and that comes from their motives, their preferences. It comes from what's deep inside and rooted in their personal beliefs. But we can also identify their potential derailers, and we can help them think about whether they have the right resilience to be a leader and to see through some of the really difficult things. And then once we've diagnosed, if the individual really wants it, it is all learnable. So managers, often there's that, managers are born. I think some managers are born. The majority of managers and leaders, and even the most successful, work on themselves on a regular basis, and they continue to upgrade themselves to be the best that they can be for their team.
So for someone listening today, let's be really clear. What's one thing they can do right now to support their managers and be better at it if they want to see them doing something slightly differently?
Get really clear on what good looks like. Diagnose where the individual's brilliant already and where they've got gaps, and then help them close them.
Thanks very much for listening today on our podcast on supporting your managers.